Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. There is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. Welcome, guys. Welcome. We are going to have a great show for you. We are a little late today. I hope you will excuse us. We were doing some brainstorming as far as what we want to talk about today, right? But there is no shortage of things to discuss. I think that's ultimately a good thing, right? We've got FOMC, we've got news on XRP, and obviously we've got some green pretty much across the board that we are going to discuss. But first, I'm Tommy. You guys also know me as Snorlax. I'm joined by Max, Tucker, and of course, Jackus. Welcome to you guys as well. Welcome to the audience. I hope we're having a great week. It's always a great day when you're seeing this much green across the board. Not just in crypto markets, but of course equities as well, as the market continues to kind of just anticipate, Jerome Powell, J Powell later today. And I will say, the Bank of Japan, we were talking about that yesterday as well. They didn't say really anything, anything of note, which obviously in this market can be interpreted as a bullish signal, as we've already seen the market begin to respond favorably to. As long as Jerome Powell does not say anything out of the ordinary, it is expected that they as well are going to leave their rates unchanged. We'll talk about what the implications for the market are here in just a second. But before we can do that, guys, I'm going to ask you, I need you to smash the like button. I'm not going to use all the adjectives that I usually do to try to entice you to hit the like button, but I will be very, very happy if you do. And of course, like we always say, our channel continues to grow, very much correlated with the amount of times that you guys hit the like button. So we always appreciate when you do that, of course. And but yeah, we're going to have a great show for you all today. Like I said, it is a big day. It's a big week, right? The theme seems to be kind of these macro events. Bank of Japan was yesterday. We have Jerome Powell speaking today at FOMC. It seems as though both entities will remain kind of consistent with what we expected, right? Which is the BOJ staying flat, probably probably the Fed doing the same. It seems as though that certainty has already begun to help things like ETH, Bitcoin, and of course equity markets as well. It was really kind of annoying watching ETH just like sit in that little tiny range with all those stops above 1950, 1960-ish. But we have finally, taken those highs. We'll see if that can finally lead us to a multi-week rally. I know that was something that we were discussing. The expiration was yesterday, which kind of gives the market, specifically volatility markets, a lot more freedom to move. That does not necessarily mean that is a bullish catalyst for volatility. It could also be a bearish one, as we're already seeing some weakness in the VIX here coming into Jerome Powell. What happens typically during these macro events, guys? Hedges come off the board. So obviously we'll see what sort of impact that has on the market. But it does seem thus far like it will be a positive catalyst here, at least into the end of March and early April. And we can discuss things further, obviously, on the rest of this show. But yeah, we're definitely seeing some green across the board. Altcoins responding in kind. Equities responding in kind. Let's talk about it. How are we doing, guys? What are we seeing in the markets? Are we expecting any curveballs from Jerome today? If we're not, how are we expecting the market to respond?
Well,
I'm not expecting any curveballs. I'm expecting over the coming weeks more bullishness. A lot of risk is just battered and bruised, and I think that we're so oversold for small cap equities and crypto. And I really take a step back and I look at it and I'm like, what's really so bad out there? Like what is causing this? Did we get some horrible economic data? Or is this just like Trump takes office, he won't stop talking, he's spooking the market. The market has an inability to model what he's saying and going to do because he's just kind of like he's unpredictable. So they just start selling and I'm like, what's actually going to cause this like Great Depression everyone's talking about? I don't know. I mean, this was a nasty technical correction, likely just off the back of trade war fears. And I feel like the market's kind of digesting it at this point. And I think we're going to be fine. Like, I think that generally we're going to be floating up post FOMC. I would ignore any bit of price action that happens over like the next 24 to 48 hours. Let it pick a direction. But a lot of things are oversold right now. And I think there's, even if you're not in the camp that we rally to new highs on anything, I think it certainly makes sense to see a large bounce into a shoulder and then further sell off if you're in that camp. I don't really care. I don't have a firm opinion on being in any camp. I'm just like, these are levels that I would expect to bounce from. And I've been saying, watching things like, I watch Pepe super closely. I started getting pretty loud about Pepe like 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember when I first started really mentioning it again. I'm starting to see things shift very slowly back to the bull side. We hit some really good levels. Sellers are showing signs of exhaustion here at the lows. And I think if we get any bit of a squeeze out of majors, like if you could see Bitcoin back at 90K and ETH back at 2,400, I think Pepe's got 100% from here, honestly. Like, I think it's got a nice, big, juicy move from here. It's got some work to do, but I really think that, like, we've been down only in altcoins for what, 90 days now? I think we're due for a huge counter trend rally. I do. And fun fact, and I made this indicator for free for everybody to use. It's an FOMC indicator, okay? And it marks out every FOMC period, and it also tracks the percentage gain from one FOMC to the next. ETH has never had, going back to 2021, ETH has never had more than 2 consecutive red FOMC periods, okay? So it's possible we could have our first hat trick, but I really think, given the technical setup that we have right here, even if you think the bull market's over, we're going to get some big bounces along the way down. And by the way, that's not my opinion. I know some people do have that, and that's fine. But I really do think that we're going to have a huge squeeze here very, very soon. And it might be even from like now into the summertime. I don't know how long it will last, but I think that buying down here is going to end up aging pretty damn well. I do. I really do.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Max, you should pull up your FOMC indicator though. I
Why
want to
don't
see
you
that.
pull it up, bro? It's free. You should use
Wait,
it.
where is it? What's it called?
I don't know. Type in my TradingView username or whatever. I posted a link to it on my X, but click on that. And my TradingView username is, what even is it? Max7882. Can you not search people?
No, I don't think so. What's it called?
Wait, can you click on my name? Go to the ones that I've shared with you. Oh, yeah, right there. FOMC meeting dates. See right there, Max7882.
There it is. Whoa.
Put it in log mode.
Of course.
For crypto, I fit it for log mode because it like goes all the way back, But yeah, you can see return from one FOMC meeting to the next. And then it'll mark that period green or red if it's bullish or bearish. And then the chart on the right, the table, will show you the average return for all FOMCs, or you can choose a start date, but the average FOMC return for Pepe from one to the next has been 71% in its lifetime.
Yeah.
And we've never had more than 2 bearish ones in a row. And again, Pepe's not as old, but if you went to something like ETH, you would see that we've never had more than 2.
Whoa. Let's do this.
Don't you love the automation?
I do like the automation.
Saves everybody time. Check data, good data. Here, I think the weekly might be it's fit for like the daily, like because it measures the days, not the.
Can you go back? That's as far as it goes. I guess
I just did it to 2021 because the script, like, adding too many dates was taking way too long. So I just did 20. I could add more though, but
yeah, no, it looks good. I mean, Yeah, the most you've gotten is 2 red, 2 red, 2 green.
2 red has always been followed by 2 green. If you go back to last bull market, even
Yeah, even
2
this.
red has always been followed by 2 green.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. When's the next one? May? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of where we see some conditioned behavior begin to be punished, right? Because we've basically had 4 months of downtrend on ETH since mid-December, kind of this unrelenting sell. Obviously, we've had squeezes in between, and this is where I think if you're bearish, you would kind of expect price to be reverting very quickly. And that's the behavior that I think is probably about to get punished, right? Again, you've been conditioned that every squeeze is going to revert. We're up 5 to 6% on the day. Jerome Powell is probably going to come in right with expectations. I think you can definitely debate whether or not, you know, the Fed should be more proactive or not. But if he just comes in at expectations, you're probably going to see a lot of hedges come off the board and continue to crush equity volatility, which will probably continue to lift risk assets. And so as a result of that, I think it makes sense that we keep seeing ETH squeeze. We've got our first market structure break on ETH that I think actually looks constructive in weeks. And I like that 2,500 level for ETH here at the end of the month of March.
I totally agree with this idea of like FOMC generally, I feel, is used to just take the crowded side, take the eager side, take the over-levered, overconfident side out of their positions. I have to assume that down at these levels, the over-levered, overcrowded side would be the shorts, right? And that condition, the conditioning, the Pavlovian conditioning of, oh, it's spiked, short it. Oh, it's spiked, don't trust it. The bearish dogs are salivating right now. So I don't know. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't float higher from here. You know, I don't. I guess unless Powell comes out and surprises everybody, but I don't know. We've been just beaten to a pulp in these altcoins and these risk assets, and I think that they're due for a float up. I mean, since middle of December, it has been straight down, no real counter trend rallies, no nothing. I don't know. I think we can move higher. I do.
Yeah. At
What's
least
that?
here.
What's that put skew look like in equities right now? The put to call ratio.
What, just the PC? Let's see.
That can still come down a pretty good bit.
Yeah, I got real high March 4th.
Yes, it did.
I got very high. Whoa, these candles are crazy. We should
I mean, barring something completely unforeseen, I think you're going to see the VIX probably get crushed here for the next few weeks. I think the only thing that, ironically, I think the only thing that would be bearish for the market during FOMC today would be if Powell comes out and starts cutting rates, because then you're admitting that we're in a recession and the market would probably panic.
Yeah, and the probabilities, I haven't checked them this morning, but the market's pricing in like a 99% probability of just staying paused. So you're right, Tommy. I think that would be the ultimate spook, right? That would be like, oh crap, what does he know? What piece of data is that man looking at with his constituents that's spooking him to a degree where the market thinks we're good, we're just gonna stay paused, and he gives us an emergency cut. Not good. Not good.
and we know he never surprises, right? It's I just checked, it's still 99% pause.
He's not gonna he's not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I think the best thing for the market for him to do is basically keep it as it is today, which is, you know, kind of done deal, and then announce that he will do it in the next meetings. So not do it today, but slowly start doing over the next meetings.
I mean, the two big, I was talking about this yesterday on the space that I ran in the afternoon. I think the two big ticket items that people care about for this FOMC, not that you're going to get a ton of clarity, but they'll try to read between the lines. What's the May 7th meeting look like? Wait, is that the next one? March, April? Yeah, May. I think May 7th is the next one. What's the May meeting look like? Do we have a increase in the likelihood of a 25 basis point cut? Because I think yesterday it was like 75% chance of just staying paused through the May meeting. So I think if we see that number come down and it becomes increasingly more likely that we do get a 25 basis point cut, not at this meeting, but the one in May, markets should like that. I think that'd be a good tailwind. Additionally, is there going to be any language around QT stopping, right? I think those are the two big things. What's the interest rate decision going to be in May? And is QT going to be stopping, right? And I think we have seen some language that's suggesting that QT is going to be stopping like May or June, but we don't know for sure. And also, what does that look like exactly? So they're going to press him on it. You're going to get a bunch of QT questions, I have no doubt. But I feel like Powell is such a lawyer about it, and he's so well trained. He's not going to give him anything. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope he answers it. But that's what the market seems to really care about right now.
He's gonna come out and say good afternoon, and then the market is going to spike up and down thousands of percent.
The way he smiled when he said good afternoon.
Basically. Red tie, good afternoon. Not a good look.
Red tie? Oh no, Jackus. No.
No
What if he
red
comes
tie.
out with a neon green tie?
What if
And
he
goes,
comes
"Oh, it's
up?
for St. Patrick's Day. It's fine.
What if he comes out and wears a Pepe tie? And he is like, quack, quack.
ribbit.
Hold on, do that again.
I think you guys have a different word for what frog does.
In Czech, ribbit is different in Czech. The frogs
Basically.
ribbit differently in Czech.
I actually saw a video lately where it's quite a few animals where they make different, or like we have different sounds for that, but never mind. That's another discussion.
Because animal noises.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get it.
Oh boy.
Well, DXY looks like it wants to maybe pull back a little, but yeah, I think the downtrend has begun.
It kind of looks like it could pop up to like 105, 50, 106 maybe, like
Yeah.
worst case. But also
If-
it's like,
I
yeah, I
don't
like
think
that
it
line,
goes that
Tucker.
high. Yeah.
But
Good
it's also
line.
like it doesn't really matter because Dixie's been dropping and risk has been dropping. Like what we're concerned, what we care about is like a multi-week correlation, not like a week, So in the short term, we know that they can both move together. But I think what this is signaling higher time frame is super good, right? Like I think it's really bullish for risk. You kind of have the perfect stage set, honestly. Like global M2 is increasing, Euro USD obviously moving up, Dixie moving down. A lot of momentum oscillators kind of starting to turn to the upside on risk assets. Cuts are coming. We still have pretty good economic data. Labor markets are strong. I'm like, what's so damn bad out there? Like why is the cycle over? Why are we in a huge recession? What is it? What am I missing? I think we're gonna rip. I do. There's no reason not to. I agree with Air Mass. Air Mass was right.
Air Mass was
There are some
I mean-
altcoins that are probably poised to really outperform in the next few weeks, if that's the case. I mean, and I think in either case, right? Whether or not you think we're in a longer term bear trend or whether it's the beginning of a much larger bullish reversal. I mean, that's kind of something that we've been discussing. There are a lot of altcoins sitting at levels where it makes sense to take exposure to them. And then I think it goes down to asset selection, right? Like, again, there are some altcoins that look ready to really outperform here over the next few weeks.
What do you like, Tommy?
I love Sonic.
Riddle
man.
me.
I like Sonic.
Ooh. That does look kind of tasty down there.
It's the Sui Fractal, huh?
It's the Sui fractal, and it's got that little like inverse head and shoulders thing going on at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Mhm.
I wish I had money to buy it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Hopefully they call it tax day.
Yeah, dude, I think there's gonna be some crime going into tax day. Like they got like 3.5 weeks to pump risk a little bit. That's probably where we rally into before we get like another correction. They're gonna pump it in a tax day, man. Everybody's perfectly aligned that like we need a pump into tax day in the US.
You think Sonic is like down here, Tommy?
When is your tax day, guys? Is it end of March?
April 15th.
Okay.
They got 30 days to pump it into tax day. And markets are destroyed right now. Americans need a little bump to pay their taxes, and the puppet masters know it.
Indeed.
There will be crime, Jackus. They will commit crime so that they get their stimmies from their Americans.
Well, whatever it takes to pump the market, eh?
Yes. Well, this is realistically, probably a lot of people making fun of people for not taking profit for taxes, and perhaps rightfully so, but that's usually when we get a bounce into tax day.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think we're going to pump into tax day.
I'm really starting to like MSTR. I think it's due for a squeeze higher, and I think MSTR has always been front running Bitcoin price, especially like in the past years. So I do like that a lot.
Where to, Jack? Is 400?
Well, I personally think from like a local standpoint, yes, but from higher time frame standpoint, I think we go above like 1,000 and further.
Above 1,000.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that it is.
because I think BTC hasn't finished its bull market, and MSTR is still likely to outperform it.
I gotta agree with you, Jack. It's like the valuation on MSTR this cycle is going to get so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be trading at such a premium over, the native asset value that's, collateralizing the stock being Bitcoin. Like I feel like it'll end up trading at like a 3 to 5 times premium over what like their spot Bitcoin is really worth.
Yeah.
It's going to get kind of out of control, I think. So
Out of control, indeed.
it's just, and then it's going to be one of the best shorts in the market at some point, like way down the road, but it's going to get so much crazier first.
So many people are trying to short it as we speak right now.
Yeah.
I would be very inclined to see some short ratios on MSTR if you have, Tommy, perhaps.
I do not, but the chart looks pretty good right now, honestly. Just looking at it kind of for the first time in a while.
Well, I do not see a scenario in which BTC goes up and MSTR doesn't yet. And at the same time, I do not see a scenario in which MSTR goes up and BTC doesn't, right? Like they move together, quite obviously. Maybe not like on a exact every same move, but more or less they do. And yeah, I think MSTR is looking really nicely here.
Tommy, I know you thought Bitcoin would outperform MSTR from here. Do you still think so?
If Bitcoin's going to make a new high, probably not. But I think I'm still a little bit skeptical that Bitcoin's going to make a new high here over the next few months.
I think there's one good thing about MSTR, and that's like we always have a problem with like you see an alpha coin and then you want to outperform it on the beta. But the problem is that if everyone keeps buying the beta, who bids the alpha, right? We had that problem with ETH and meme coins. But with MSTR, that's slightly different because you're kind of buying the beta here with MSTR. But MSTR then goes and buys spot Bitcoin at least. So that's different. I wish that would kind of like imagine that, right? If we had like if you purchased beta on ETH and then each of that whatever you buy would have to go and buy spot ETH with it. It would be, it would be scammy obviously at the end, but that would pump the price quite a lot.
I think the big overhang and the big issue with MSTR is that they're kind of stuck having to top blast Bitcoin because so for example, people will always point out on X, like when Bitcoin's in a correction and MicroStrategy buys Bitcoin, they buy like a very small amount when Bitcoin's in a correction. But when Bitcoin's pumping, they always end up top blasting with like 10x the size that they did during a correction, right? So people are like, well, why aren't they buying more Bitcoin when it pulls back 20%? Why are they buying, so much Bitcoin, like fueling this crazy rally? That's because that's kind of like how the flywheel is working for them, where they're able to raise more money when their stock is trading at a premium to like the asset value that they're actually holding. So when Bitcoin pulls back, the MicroStrategy is no longer trading at such a premium to Bitcoin, which doesn't allow them to raise as much money. So then they can only buy like smaller amounts of Bitcoin. So they're kind of stuck in this. It's nice fuel for a rally, right? Because Bitcoin rallies, MSTR starts trading at a premium. Then they can go and borrow more because they're trading at a premium to the NAV. And then they can top blast more Bitcoin, right? But eventually, if Bitcoin corrects, 25 or 30%, and then it corrects another 20%, then it's like there's no premium. There's really no ability to borrow big amounts of money to keep fueling the Ponzi. And then that's when it kind of gets out of hand. But I mean, it's totally sustainable right now. It's just like, it's a little bit warped in the way where like they're only able to borrow huge money when they're trading at a major premium, right? That's why their purchases on these corrections are smaller. If I understand it correctly, I think I do, but maybe I'm missing something. So I kind of agree with this idea. I mean, we've talked about it before where the way the math works out, to my understanding, is the further along Bitcoin gets into its cycle and the more it starts to lose momentum to the upside, like later in the cycle, like that's when MSTR begins to underperform, Bitcoin, because they need to be trading at a premium to the, they need to be trading at a 2x premium to what it's really worth, because then they borrow money and then they pump Bitcoin when they own Bitcoin, right? It's a great Ponzi, as long as we don't get too big of a correction on Bitcoin. But I don't know. I feel like it could take the pair here, the MSTR Bitcoin pair, I feel like could take another stab up here. But I kind of think that it probably makes sense to just hold Bitcoin at this phase of the cycle. Like I don't know if I really think that MSTR is going to like so dramatically outperform Bitcoin for the rest. It will outperform it for a bit longer, but I don't think it's going to be as crazy as it was in the first half of the cycle, personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this this first move was, it outperformed Bitcoin 4x. Like, I don't
It'll
think it's
start
necessarily
slowing down, and that'll be a good top signal, I think, is when like Bitcoin goes up 10%, MSTR starts going up 8%, and you see MSTR losing that momentum, right, against Bitcoin. That could be a good signal, honestly.
Yeah, whenever you see it break like this.
As soon as it stops trading like beta,
Yeah,
then that could be really good signal.
To me, both of these look incredibly pumpy. I ain't going to lie. I think MSTR is ready for the break here. So should be BTC, and you are still looking for macro DXY breakdown, and you are still looking for a real parabola to happen for both of these. I know it may look crazy when you look on the regular chart, not on the logarithmic one, but if you look at at lots of parabolic charts, they always kind of end up being like like this was a fair retrace, basically. You had like this move, and then you had a fair retrace of this one. You had a fair retrace of all-time highs. But usually people sort of think like, hey, this must be it, right? And then you get that final, like, real push higher. I would sort of put it on silver as an example, where you kind of start going up, and it already feels crazy here, but then you get that final squeeze.
Yeah,
right?
That's what MSTR is going to look like, Jackus. It totally
That's
is.
still what I think is coming for MSTR, more or less. And that's, the generational top on it.
But time-wise, I mean, that took from 1975 to 19. That took 5 years from the first peak to the second, really.
Yeah, it's the different time frame, of course, but
Yeah.
the psychology behind the pumps is the same, because you feel already here that, like, that's crazy, that's pumped. But Jesus, maybe if I go on. Yeah, you kind of feel like this was it, right? But that's relatively close to its prior swing, so it's sort of like here, you go. And it could take for MSTR some time. You might even see BTC maybe front running, which wasn't the case so far this cycle. It was actually MSTR that already hit first all-time highs before BTC. Also here, but it could be maybe it's BTC this time around. That's first. But I think this pullback is relatively close to this one, just like here. And you are yet to see something crazy like this. If, of course, under the condition we remain bullish, which I still think we are.
So what does that imply for Bitcoin, Jackus? Do you have any expectations for Bitcoin if MSTR puts in like a crazy blow off sometime this year?
Yeah, I think BTC should also, undergo some parabola to some degree, where probably won't be the prettiest, but something sort of like, and we know that the parabolas get the craziest at the last stage. So something of that type, in my opinion. The parabola just simply doesn't have to be parabola, right? But when it's parabola, you need to get multiples of previous swing. So I think 2017 is the best example of that. You start to get tighter and tighter pullbacks in time-wise, and I would say you are more like here, where you get that similar type of pullback towards this one, in terms of size. And then you are really looking for this type, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. What do you
So
make
maybe,
of what do you make of ETH here, Jackus? Is it because Bitcoin looks obvious, like the way you have it drawn here, it's a lot more clear. ETH looks the exact opposite of MSTR and BTC, right? LOL.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Listen, it's still a question whether ETH will outperform Bitcoin. I think.
Hang on.
I
Can
think
ETH even track close to what Bitcoin is doing? I don't even need it to outperform anymore. I'll take anything. Just stop nuking. Like, can it just do anything? You know, I don't even need it to outperform. It's okay.
Okay, in that case, I think yes. I think it's at a macro support, and if it's ever to hold somewhere, it's right here when literally everyone gave up on it. It capitulated below that 2K level that I was saying is, in my opinion, a mental capitulation level. I think from here, you are at the bottoming process. You are at the process where people are leaving crypto either to become forex traders on intraday, or whether they are buying, they will start playing stocks instead. So this is truly the time to do it from. That said, we always need to have invalidations, of course. So if ETH were to lose 1500, in my opinion, that would not be good. But until then, I think this is a perfect time for all of these markets. And I think I would say this: we are at the bottoming process on these coins.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to hear. I'll take it. I agree with you. Right. I agree with you. But yeah, I mean, and I don't know if I'm crazy to think that like ETH is basically in like the Bitcoin equivalent of like October, November, December, January of 2023 and early 2024, like pre-bull market. Like right in there, Jackus. Yeah, like that's essentially where ETH is. It hasn't even started. It hasn't done anything. It's back down at like its bear market accumulation levels.
Yeah.
Technically it overextended, you know, because the ETF news and stuff like that went to 4K, but it's like ETH hasn't even had a cycle yet, man. Like ETH hasn't done anything. You know?
Hasn't. Alts did not have a cycle.
Yet.
In my opinion. Yet. Like there was lots of alt plays, but I wouldn't consider this a typical altcoin cycle. Maybe we won't see that again, but like in that magnitude or in that type that we saw in the previous ones. But I think we haven't seen the overall outperformance yet either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, totally. ETH could be like, you know, where Bitcoin chopped down to 49K, right? Like that more so lines up with 4K as the top type of thing, right? Like instead
the
of
only issue with that, Tucker, is how deep this retrace went, bro.
I know
like,
we went deeper than
way deeper than we
sure.
should have, you know.
But so it's just whether you think we overextended to the upside or downside, really. But just compared to the old all-time high, I guess, is what. Yeah, that's.
The outperformance really comes above this level. Always.
$4K, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4K. I mean, at this point, I'm excited to see what alts will do. Just even from here back to 4K, because a lot of alts died during the sell-off, and they are not coming back. All the garbage got taken out, so maybe it was a much-needed purge. There's going to be a lot of altcoins that make new all-time highs when ETH is at 4K again. I think there's going to be less competition. Obviously, that implies less saturation, less legit projects to pick from. more concentrated liquidity in legitimate projects. I think that next run up to 4K will be very, very revealing for the altcoin market, which coins are moving, which coins are benefiting from that. And then if you break 4K, which if we get rejected from 4K again, man, I feel like I need to be done, you know? Like I don't think I can take another rejection of 4K. This is enough. I'm at my threshold for 4K rejections.
Imagine you come to 4K and then you get
Dude,
you know what?
I'm not
I said
kidding.
this. I said this before. I still think ETH is. Wait, maybe I gotta put it like this. Then I still think the 4K for ETH is this level.
It's like 10K, 12K for Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I think it's this level for ETH, this one. Although I could see at 4K some type of reaction like this one. Possibly.
As long as it doesn't send it back to range lows, a local rejection's okay, right? I can't take another 50 or 60% drop from 4K, man. I'm losing my hair. I can't take it anymore. But that would make sense that we just did the COVID drop too, honestly, because you kind of lost your structure there.
Or it's this one too.
Yeah.
And you would get some type of like this, you know, like come to it.
Bro, I'd be so happy. We deserve something like that after the crap we've been served on a silver platter this cycle for altcoins.
If you think about it, it's not exactly the same. The time frames are like different, and so, but if you think about it, then this bottoming range, and maybe I can put it like more like this.
Ooh, fancy.
Then you sort of like had this, you know, black swan even bottoming range retest. Was the capitulation more or less below the lows? It's not exactly again the same, but I see the premise behind it. And then ETH this cycle is BTC last cycle.
All right, so we just finished the COVID drop.
So we're gonna reject 4K and then go up.
Again, I view it as a bottoming process. So we will, you know, if you want to view this as a fractal again, you do not want to view it as one-to-one and like see exactly, you know, the same type of PA that we saw. Not that I like, I would like it, but it does usually with fractals or like the psychology behind them, right? Because that's what fractals are. They are just a psychological visual representation. But each one has their own, you know, current conditions. So it can easily happen that you can do this, right? And then you will get those spikes. So like that can change and you can get a different type of PA here. But I still think that the premise that this is the ceiling here, that's the all-time ceiling. And this was the pre-bull market shakeout, the scary one, where people give up and sell, just like in the prior one, has played out. And yeah, so, you know, you sort of are at that retest.
I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't know what else to say other than I like it, you know? It makes sense. There was a lot of comparisons last cycle. I remember going through last bull market and the amount of like ETH is one cycle behind Bitcoin comparisons that I saw. A lot. It happened a lot. A lot of comparisons in like network growth, wallet count, increasing, fractals. But this cycle, it's just been like ETH sucks, dunk on ETH. Don't even dare compare it to Bitcoin, which you shouldn't compare it fundamentally to Bitcoin, but like
No.
you could in terms of like adoption, right? That's totally different. But people kind of gave up on that like one cycle behind Bitcoin narrative, which I think there is some merit to it, right? Again, not fundamentally, they're totally different. Shouldn't be compared in that light, but it does make sense to think from an adoption perspective, like, it's possible that this comparison that you're giving, Jack, is again, it's kind of bringing back that old. I don't know if you guys remember that either, but there were a lot of comparisons between ETH and Bitcoin, like one cycle apart from each other last cycle. And I haven't seen that at all. But this does make sense potentially to view it as like, okay, Bitcoin had a similar struggle or war going on at 12K last cycle. Maybe that is 4K for ETH, right? Same stubborn level. But
yeah. I mean, obviously, all of this is an anticipation. If we were to go lower and we would be losing, this base, then I think that would generally be over for ETH. But until then, you expect this macro retest of range low to hold. But that's sort of like my emotionless side speaking. I understand it's different if you're experiencing this for the first time. But yeah, I could, I still have a live chat with people from back here, and it was relatively the same.
Yeah. I mean, it looks good. I mean, that Amazon you were looking at, Jack, this has somewhat been invalidated. Yeah.
It wasn't invalidated.
No?
Quite the contrary. I
See.
can put it on. But the thing is, right? Again, so you see BTC, right? And it's not quite the same. And yet the psychology behind those is, right? And that's the same with the Amazon fractal.
Yeah,
Because
I see that now, actually.
maybe like 2 week would be more suitable. And so once again, you have some mega top distribution, and then you get the bear market below. And again, the bottoming range is different, right? You can quite clearly see that, but you still get that break out of it, and then you get the scary retest inside of it, and you retest the range lows. Now that's literally the same here, and it could have already been sort of here if we managed to hold here, and we could have gone. Instead, we had like this second retest. So like, for example, take this one, right? You sort of got this bounce up, and then you get this scary sell. Well, ETH went higher here and then sold off. I still think that this is going to play out on the overall. And again, it could have been here. You could have think like, this is the top, right? You get the first drop, you get the complacency shoulder, and then you get the sell-off, right? And now we were kind of, it was kind of happening. We got the second pause, sort of like when BTC was at 25K in 2023. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do. Sort of like when BTC was down here. It's still the same level, but you pump and then you retest it twice, but then you run away again. And so it didn't break structure. It was just a prolongment and second retest of the same. And I kind of view it this way too, where you are still sort of second retesting. While this was really like on touch, you are second retesting this. But I still think as long as we hold this, then I still think this has a chance of playing out. And the psychology behind those is very, very similar, you know. But always slightly unique, always slightly different. And this is what confuses people each time it happens, that like this time is different. And that's how you keep wondering how the cycles kind of keep on repeating. And the tough part is that this is really higher time frame, and people are not able to work on this time frame. They are always looking at anything intraday, so they always lose sight of this. And when you get this type of drop that really was pretty fast, if you think about it, like this was just 3 months basically, and that can feel like a lot if you are living it day by day. But if you're going to look at it from a hindsight perspective in the future, it will feel like nothing. But now it feels like, hey, this is never coming back, and I will rather go and start trading equities. And that's, in my opinion, when is the best time and when the turnaround starts to happen. But it doesn't happen again on a daily perspective.
A lot of people have given up, man. That last drop.
I can't blame them. I can't blame them.
No. But you're right to suggest that that's where the best opportunities are, is when most people just can't take it anymore. And I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like that last drop from 4K, man, that one felt different than the previous one, you know? It felt much different. But I think it looks fine. Because I'm telling you, if that comes next, that Bitcoin fractal, right? That could play out. I mean, things happen quickly. Like you could see, I mean, that Bitcoin fractal right there was about a year. Bitcoin went from 4K to 64K in 1 year, right? 1 year.
Yeah.
During that time, how many people really thought Bitcoin at 4K was going to be 64K 1 year later? Not many. That was 1 year. Like if you measured the time from that COVID low to the first top, it was 1 year.
Yeah. 392 days.
So just saying, like, Bitcoin went up more than 10x, you know? It went up more than 10x in a year. So things can change really quickly. What if ETH does that?
Again, it's always slightly different, but the premise behind it stays the same. And that's kind of what I think happens here, psychologically wise. The thing is, again, I will always stand by it from what I've observed over the years on the markets. Still here, it was a good decision to be long positioned because you were at the risk of breaking out. Again, I think it got postponed, similar as BTC has, during this part. But then it picked up again and started to run. Unless, of course, and you need to be ready for that too. You always need to be ready for it, even if less probable that it's kind of over. And that would be if we started to lose, like these levels or like, you know, if you started to trade below here, below 1500, that's kind of not good. Let's put it that way. But until then, I still view it that way. I know many people will not see it. I know some will see it, and in a few years they'll be like, I'm so glad I listened to that. Like, it will still be your decision, guys, but that decision is not easy. And in a few years you could look back and be like, that really saved me.
They'll forget that you told them, and they'll take all the credit, Jackus. They'll forget. Just like they forgot about the commodity supercycle thesis that you shared a year ago. Remember?
Yeah, I know.
Now everybody's a gold and silver expert.
Of course.
It was their idea, not yours.
No, what will likely happen is that it will run like this, right? And then it will drop down here, and they will tell me, "Oh, you were bullish here." You know, it will it will do this. You were bullish at the top. You know, you can be bullish down here. You can be bullish here. You were bullish at the top,
bro. That's what people do with me and Pepe. We're like, I was buying it last bear market, and I've just been perma bull on Pepe since. And they're like, you were bullish at the top, and I'm like, I've been bullish every day since October of 2023. I've never been bearish, Pepe. Like, where's my credit when I'm bullish at the lows? They only like to point out when you're bullish at the highs. Like, no shit, I'm bullish at the highs, man. The shit's ripping. Of course I'm bullish at, like, everyone's bullish when stuff is ripping, you know? People are just.
Yeah. I still remember it like yesterday, how people were bearish all the way up here, all the way through that.
Yeah, me too. I remember that. I remember people at, like, see that little pause that Bitcoin had right under the all-time high, right before it broke out last cycle, right there. Yeah. I remember the amount of bear posting that I saw last cycle right there. People were like, that was it. That was the exit pump. People still can't pay their bills because of COVID. It's over. We're going to drop back to, 10K. Like, I'll happily buy then. And then it just ripped, man. I remember so vividly. I remember thinking to myself, oh, damn, like, I wonder if they're right. Like, should I sell here? Like, I already 2x'd my money on Bitcoin. Like, I guess I should just, and I didn't end up selling, but I remember thinking, like, well, I mean, they have these huge followings, and, like, they seem to know what they're talking about, and then we just ripped, just melted.
That it's because most people sold this drop just like they are selling the East one, and they didn't rebuy. The only time they rebought was here, and then they got scared again. And when they accepted its bull market, indeed, they were waiting for the pullback that didn't come. And it's sort of like a mental thing where if you could have bought BTC at 10K, but not at 15K, you will not be buying it at 14K pullback, because you could have bought it at 10K, and then you will just be revenge trading it. So everyone was waiting for this one that never came, and it never came even in a bear market, mind to say. Never. So not every level needs to get retested, and this is what lots of people forget. It's on a macro, there are different factors than just TA. And me, myself, you guys know that I'm very TA based. But I also acknowledge that when the market starts to turn around, you need to turn around with it, even if you had lower levels.
Speaking of lower levels, we had a very generous super chat here from Joe. Thank you, Joe, for the super chat. We greatly appreciate your support. Thanks for help keeping the lights on at BB. Thank you, Joe. Joe had a question. Do you guys think Pepe can reach all-time high by end of year?
Yes.
Yes.
Brother, I think Pepe can reach all-time highs by end of Q3. We don't even need the full year. I'm insulted by your question, Joe. I'm just kidding. I do. You know, Jackus, you had a very interesting fractal that you shared yesterday. Not publicly, but in the spirit of a super chat, a very generous super chat.
I apologize, but I can't. Not yet. And I hope I do not see it.
The rejection. The rejection.
Oh, no.
Stuff.
I think I shared lots today. And that Pepe Fractal is reserved for the people that are closest to us. I do appreciate it, Joe, but unfortunately, it's what it is.
But Joe, the answer to your question is yes.
I
think
answered yes.
Yes. We got 3 yeses and 1 undecided.
Tommy.
I don't know. I don't know. I shared the same optimism that this is. Obviously, I've been kind of viewing the market for a long time that it's kind of like Bitcoin, or rather ETH is replicating Bitcoin's previous cycle, but I don't know if I find them totally similar anymore. I'm kind of a bear on equities, US equities, until the summer, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what that's going to mean for crypto prices, but I'm not going to get over exuberant, even though I'm kind of expecting a rally from altcoins here. I do think that Pepe can go up 75, 100% from these prices, but I will stop short of saying that I think we're certainly going to hit all-time highs again this year.
Look at the days ETH and Pepe bottomed, all right? And then look at the days they have topped here. And that should tell you all you need to know if you've been paying attention today.
This is a great point. I just want to highlight how salient this argument is. So even though Jackus is showing you on the chart how Pepe is trading exactly like levered ETH, and he also spent about half an hour showing you how ETH is potentially very, very early in its bull market and is going to go to deep 5 figures. This makes perfect sense, and it's obviously a coincidence that Pepe topped the same day ETH did and bottomed the same day ETH did, but percentage-wise is outperforming. So Jack says the truth they won't tell you is that the boys club narrative is dead. Pepe is going to slowly plummet, shorting every boys club coin. I mean, that's really perfect argument. It makes, given the whole discussion that we just had, I see nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. And I would say just view what Jackus is showing you on the screen right now as pure coincidence. Nothing actionable about it. Totally random. Nothing here. So yeah, best of luck, Jack. I think that's a really salient argument. One that should yield tremendous results.
Jake is evil twin Jake sense. I mean, I'm used to these comments nowadays. As I said always, we are here for the people who want to listen, who are here for the long game, and they've seen it time and time again. So, but obviously, as I always say, everything has an invalidation, and no matter the probabilities in life, you can always have an asteroid hitting the Earth tomorrow, wiping all life on it, and it's done. Like, the probability is low, but it can happen. And if you think in terms of probabilities about everything, it makes more sense. Although obviously we sometimes will speak in certainties because that's what the market demands too. But yeah, and I bet, by the way, some people didn't know that Max was sarcastic.
Yeah, guys, I was totally joking. I thought his comment was pretty stupid, so I was being sarcastic. That's the truth.
So obviously, if ETH were to lose the levels we discussed, then it wouldn't be happening for Boys Club either. But if ETH is going to do what I discussed, then you are likely to see the same from Boys Club. It's as simple as that.
I mean, all the high time frame pivot points are literally the same amongst all the charts. It's like ETH drops, Andy, Pepe, Wolf, drop. ETH pumps, Andy, Pepe, Wolf, pump. It's like you can just say it's dead because they're down percentage wise, or you can look at the data and go, all right, if ETH is going to move back up, then they're all going to move back up. If ETH is going to move down, then they're all going to move down. That's the appropriate way to assess it, not by just going, they're down bad percentage wise, it's over. That's not what the data is telling us at all. That's the antithesis of it. It's the opposite. So we're going to run it back. Y'all are going to see. It's going to be great. But you will, I mean, you got some time, but we're going to run it back and we're going to have a great time. Only those that can really hang in there, only those that can take the pressure, only those will be along for the journey. It's been a tough journey. It's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be. But we'll look back on this last drop and be like, damn, that was the one that shook a lot of people out. We lost some soldiers on this last drop. We certainly did. Look at the market check audience, guys. Like, it's down 30%, you know? People are done with crypto. People are done with, they're just like, I can't take it. I'm out of here, you know? People gave up. The hitchhikers have left.
Indeed. This is the most challenging time in crypto possibly in history, given how long it has been since prior top bull market. So I can understand that. I can understand, people having bad sentiment, and I can understand why people think it's different.
Yeah. I can understand it. Because it has been like, I mean, there's some cyclical differences that occur every single time, right? I mean, the Q1 seasonality that was, in my opinion, like ETH was really poised for higher. Like when it pulled back to 2,800 maybe from 4K, that was the level to like long for the breakout. And then obviously it failed, you know. So if you were just like longing, trading, you get out. But like Q1 seasonality, charts look pretty good, you know. It made some sense, right? Obviously didn't work out. But if there's one thing that we know about ETH, it's actually that, yes, Q1 has typically been pretty decent for ETH in the past. But at the same time, Q2 has been better than Q1. So maybe something to look forward to, right?
Do not forget about this gap, guys. Do not.
I think that's the biggest CME gap that we've ever had on ETH.
Yes. Do not forget above gaps.
Same. Jackus, if we flip that CME gap and grind on the top of it, just like you have right there. Wait, you know what's funny about this COVID drop that I'm just realizing is that happened for Bitcoin in March. And this ETH drop happened in March too.
Indeed.
I just noticed that right now.
So we have time until April 2026. Gotcha.
So if we just flip that CME gap and spend the summer chopping on top of it, then, dude, that would look really bullish, honestly. That would look really bullish. It's certain to not play out the exact same way. I think we all kind of recognize that. but it's just interesting to see how the months lined up too. And like, okay, even for Bitcoin there, Jackus, like see that little range, see the pump before the COVID drop, that little range. Yeah, right there. ETH had that too. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh yeah. Okay, wait. And then how about the range before the ETF pump on ETH? See, right down like May for ETH. Yeah, that whole thing. Dang. I'm gonna tweet this out and get so many likes, Jackus. That's crazy. Oh yeah.
Kinda. It's not the same, but kinda is.
It's the same. It's the same.
I suppose this was also, yeah, I mean, I was discussing this after we got the drop, right? And if we headed down here, that would sort of been COVID, and I would be bullish. But since we had this, you know, little something, and we did not capitulate below these levels, this was still my idea for why I expect the capitulation below. And it wasn't as quick as during COVID, because that was entirely different situation. But the capitulation mentally happened nonetheless, and people will not, you know, back then people said, oh, this is COVID, you know, you cannot expect the market to recover. You know, people are at home, closed, nothing's working. And meanwhile, we kept doing this. Nowadays, they will say like, oh, this time is different because, you know, ease is, nobody cares about ease and people are using Sol. And I do not know, you know, but the psychology behind the chart is the same. And it doesn't have to play out the same, but it's a good good level regardless. And I somehow subconsciously know I've been through these before, so I have an advantage with that. And plus, the market stripped emotions from me too. So it's just a good level. It's just a bottoming process, in my opinion, which will play out differently. But unless we keep losing levels, macro levels, then I think this is sort of to play out.
Very nice.
I like it, Jackus.
I like it too. And we are deserving. We are. Anyone that stayed here until now and didn't leave this market is deserving. You will, I bet you will start seeing these charts I talked about today. You will start seeing them floating around in like 3-4 months, likely, maybe sooner.
All right, Tommy, you want to do the outro, brother? I will.
Yes, sir. I will take us out. If you guys enjoyed the commentary that you heard today, fortunately, we have ways, or you know, maybe even you just want to see that that Pepe Fractal that Jackus was mentioning earlier on the stream. We do have a few ways for you to potentially join the family, guys. Come check out our premium Discord. We give 4 to 5 hours of calls every single day outlining our analysis, our thoughts on the market, and often even our positioning. So come check out Because Bitcoin Discord, guys. We were nice enough to package this together with your go-to tool for the cycle, the BB terminal. Whether or not you are an active trader on lower time frames, capturing the volatility here over the last few weeks, whether or not you are a long-term investor looking for data and tools to be able to make long-term investment decisions, we've got the tool for you. And of course, soon, if you are an on-chain degen, you love meme coins, you love AI agents, we will soon have the tool for you as well. Like I said, come check out the BB terminal. Everything that I just mentioned is available on that terminal, except for the degen tab. But we are actively building it out and very excited to bring that to you guys here in the future. Of course, if you are looking to hone your educational base or even reach trading level mastery, we do have the BB Academy. You can come learn from the team how we analyze and approach markets, and ultimately how we trade them. Last but certainly not least, maybe this local volatility has been getting to you. I know a lot of people I've heard a lot of people saying, I can't wait to get out of the crypto markets, right? Fortunately, we have a solution for you as well. We have an SEC registered hedge fund, BB Wealth Management, or the team is allowed to manage capital for you. So come check that out as well, guys. A reminder that we trade digital assets in a way that looks to capture their asymmetric history for upside returns while looking to balance the downside risk posed in all financial markets. So if anything that I just said over the last 90 seconds resonated with you, check out the description below. We have everything linked there. Of course, Market Check will be back for another episode tomorrow at 11 a.m., 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually go live roughly within that time window. So come check out that if you enjoyed today's show. And of course, make sure to check Wabi's show as well, Market Talk, that is hosted through the Because Bitcoin X account, as well as Wabi's account. So make sure to stay following and subscribe to both of those accounts so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but of course also when we go live. But that's it from us, guys. We hope that you enjoyed the show today. Had a little bit of a cook session. Once again, we will see what Jerome Powell has in store for us later today, of course. But until tomorrow, guys, thanks again. And of course, stay safe.